Good afternoon. Hi, this is Devon Head, and it's something I've been thinking about for a while. I wanted to do, and that is to do what I would call a forgiveness tune-up or a forgiveness adjustment or brush-up. These are just some tips that I've been thinking about and things that have been occurring for the last month or so that I've been observing and in myself. So you can call it like a brush-up, you can call it tune-up, or you can call it tips. So let's get into some of these, and we'll just take a few minutes to go over some things just to get a realignment and make sure we are aligned in understanding and understanding forgiveness. Okay. So the first thing I want to talk about is the one point is allow a person time to forgive and allow yourself to. I know in many schools of thought that are say you should forgive immediately. And maybe some people can do that. It all depends on what has occurred to them between them and someone else. But instead of trying to twist someone's arm and say, haven't you forgiven me yet? Come on, it's been like a week. Perhaps they're working through it. Maybe they're struggling with it. But give them space so that they can go through the process. We don't know how egregious this might have been. We don't know how they may be struggling with it. And then I guess the other point would be is, when you plant a plant or a seed, do you scream at it if it doesn't grow? For those of you that are dealing with plants and flowers and what have you, and maybe you've planted something, a seed or something that you're working with out in a garden, and you look at it and say, this thing isn't growing. Do you get mad and scream at it because it's not growing? It doesn't seem to be developing. Well, that would be the same patience. You give someone room to grow, give them a chance to forgive, give them space. Don't peck at them and keep pushing them and cajoling them and trying to force them or get them to forgive. Step back, give them space. Now, it's incumbent upon us, if we are the one that's being forgiven, that I always say, and I'm going to continuously learn about this field that God has appointed me to try to understand, is that, well, we're going to have to realize that we don't want to reoffend again. If someone has forgiven us, and raise your hand if you want to be forgiven. You don't want someone to hold a grudge against you, right? You hope and pray that they will forgive you for what you did or said or took from them or insulted them. Okay? So allow a person time, allow them time to forgive. Also know that if you have been forgiven, you want to endeavor, me too, endeavor not to reoffend in that area. So also, point number 2, we don't want this situation to have power over us. And I know the scope is quite wide in the realm of life experience. That can also include people from something that one may consider, I'll just brush that off, all the way up to a criminal offense. And I guess when I look at my note for this, is ultimately we want to get to the place to where this situation doesn't have power over us. I guess that would lead to my next point. How do we know that we have not forgiven someone? How do we know? Well, there's a few points, and I don't have all the answers, but I certainly can say that if you keep reminding someone about what they did, if they've apologized to you wholeheartedly, I'm truly sorry. Look, I truly apologize for what I said, what I did, fill in the blank, okay? And you know that they are genuinely heartbroken about what they said or did, fill in the blank. And we want to go back and keep telling them, but I don't understand. Why did you do that? I so-and-so, such and such, such and such, and I thought I could trust you, and on and on and on. That could be an indication that I know I've done that to someone, and I'm endeavoring throughout my life to, if I have forgiven someone, I want to curtail mitigate, and let go, and not remind that person about what they did. You know, um, that is like opening up a wound, you could say. And if this person is truly forgiven us, we don't want to go back and remind them about it, especially if they were truly sorry. I've been on the receiving end of that, and I also have done it to someone else. I'm sure, I know I have. I can think of someone throughout my lifetime that I reminded them about something that they did, and I should not have done that. And I could see the hurt in their face that I brought this up, so I had not truly forgiven them. And you know what? Sometimes we may have to go back and do it again in our mind. We may not have to say to that person, I'm going to say to you, I forgive you again. We may have to say, you know what? I've got to let this go. This is coming back up again in my mind. I have to tell myself, I forgave this person. And we may ask God for help too. Lord, help me to let this go. I've heard people say, hey, I prayed and the Lord just took the feeling away from me. If that's true, I've heard people say that about cigarettes. I lost the sense, well, can God do that? Well, sure. Maybe it doesn't happen for everybody. They might not get the same healing the same way. But I've heard people say several times throughout my life, you know what, Reverend, I prayed, I just asked God, I've been trying to quit just to take that feeling away from me. And I woke up the next day, it was gone. So would it be hard for God to, quote unquote, take that feeling away from us if we're struggling with it? New mercies are given day by day. We can be refreshed. And maybe someone else's story, you're like, well, that didn't happen to me. Hey, that didn't happen to me. Well, maybe your way might be different. But the mechanics of forgiving, one element is the power of letting go. This hat I have right here. Let it go. Oh, you just saying that. That's easy for you to say. Okay, I'm going to share something with you earlier at the end of this that would at least cause us to give great consideration to the mechanics of forgiveness. We may go to a stage of being insult, embarrassment, anger, rage, resentment. Maybe rage is at the end. We want to avoid that anger, rage. So there may be a series of things that we may go through because of what happened to us. We don't want to reach the stage of rage, but it is a process, absolutely. And there's some people who are just so magnanimous, something in them, they're just able, or they may not have as much of a difficult time of doing it as others. That's why we're talking about this. It's just a brush up, a tune up. Like when your tire gets out of alignment, they can get you a will alignment. Well, sometimes we can get out of alignment in our thinking. I want to share an individual. Her name is, now, to all these things, to any rebuttals that you may have, any pushbacks that you may have about what I'm saying, let's consider the words of, if I say her name right, Rukiye Abdul Mutakalam. And her son, Suleiman Ahmed Abdul Mutakalam, was killed. Her son was killed. And this is a video I saw on YouTube, but I've also posted it on my Facebook page. And she did a real, well, first I'll say her son, Ahmed, he went to an ATM machine to get some money. And sometime after that, he was robbed, he was shot, and he died the next day. And all they got was probably $40. He was out to get money, food for himself and his wife, according to the article, according to what I listened to. And she did something that was quite profound in the video. And I'll spell her name. It's Rukiye Abdul Abdul Mutakalam Mutakallim. So you can look it up and you can watch this video. If this doesn't touch your heart, if this doesn't, and I'm saying this at all, not at all to be judgmental to anyone out there. I'm sharing this story with you because I do understand what it's like to hold on to something. I know what it's like to when you start to feel resentment. And there's other videos that I've put up about that. So this will warm your heart when you watch this video, or even if you read the article. Here's some statements from her. She had a chance to look at one of the men that killed her son. I don't know if all three of them shot her. I don't want to say that because I don't know which one it was, but this is one of the individuals that was involved. I don't know who shot her son. It was one of the three, but one of them was coming out. It's a video of him coming out, and she says, number one, she spoke to him directly. She says, here's one of her statements: "I don't hate you." The other statement she made is, "I can't hate you. Can't hate you." She says, "Showing mercy is our way." She's a devout Muslim and a real good example of Islam in regards to forgiveness. I mentioned on another video that I had a coworker who was a school bus driver that he showed me the Quran was on an app. You could look at it. Like I don't have it right now, a Bible app. But, and I asked him, does the Quran speak of forgiveness? He said, absolutely, absolutely. So she's demonstrating this. Now, one of her other statements was, revenge solves nothing. Mercy is when something is withheld, a judgment. When someone says, maybe someone wants to get back at you. She's saying revenge will solve nothing. Let that resonate. Revenge, even if it's a small offense. I mean, you have people wanting to take revenge if you cut them off at a stoplight. Whether, especially even if it's an accident, what they call road rage, wanting to get even. You cut me off, I'm gonna get back at you. Now she's operating on such a high level, a compassionate level of forgiveness. So why is it that if someone cuts you off, even if they did it intentionally, and no one's didn't hit your car, why do I need to go chase after them? Why do I need to roll down my window, scream at them, throw stuff at them, pull my gun out on them, whatever? This is an example, one of the many examples of an individual